Casey. Thank you for coming. We're going to do...
I'm sorry, before you get started, could I have the paperwork, I didn't get paperwork?
Oh, the flyers?
Yeah.
I think we have more flyers back there. Does everybody have a flyer? Or we have two. We have the Great Trains in Grand Canyon and Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta.
Oh my God.
Everybody has these? Okie doke. So my name is Casey, and I work with a company called Premier World Discovery, and we're working with Travel House, and basically we're an escorted tour provider. We have group tours, they're all group-based, and we'll go through some of it on our show. So what we're going to do, how this is going to work, I was an English teacher, so this is how it works. We're going to go through this, and then we're going to do, this is the presentation on the Great Trains and Grand Canyons, and then we're going to do the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, and then we're going to have questions, okay? So we have this to follow along. This is going to be our first one. All of our trips, if you've ever done any guided travel, you always have your tour guide. Tour guide will always meet you at the destination. Since this is internet or domestic travel, they'll meet you at the baggage carousel. So they'll say with this, we're going to fly into Phoenix. And so the whole group is going to be at Phoenix, and you're going to go to the baggage carousel, and right there you're going to meet your tour director. And a couple weeks before, we'll know who your tour director is, and we'll let you all know, and they're always perky and fun. And your tour director is with you the whole time. So the tour director is going to stay with you in the hotel, and anything that you need, you'll always have that. So that's part of this. We also have transportation to the airport. From, probably from here, from a localized setting. Everybody can get here, and we'll take you right to the airport. It's full service and guided, and it's focused on senior travel. Okie dokie, so here we go. This is just kind of breaks it down a little bit. How to read this when you go in the back, when you start doing the day by day, when you go home to look at it. At the bottom of each day, it's going to say a little D or a little B, and that's the dinner or breakfast that's included. Every day will be a full buffet breakfast because we're going to be staying at this tour of Great Trains and Grand Canyons, one hotel, all nights in one hotel. So it's a 6-day tour. We have 5 nights in one hotel. We're either going to stay at the Hilton Sedona or the Paco Diablo Resort. They're both beautiful properties, gorgeous properties. We've had, in our company, we have about 40 people in our company. 15 people in our company have taken their honeymoons here at either one of these hotels because they're so beautiful. And if you've been to Sedona, it's gorgeous. So this is the Paco Diablo Resort. Well, you'll be staying here, and there's your views. All the hotel rooms have just been upgraded. And then the other one was the Hilton Sedona. So when we drive in, we're going to drive from Phoenix to Sedona. It's about a 2-hour drive. We're going to drive through the airport mesa. This is some of the scenery you're going to see. On your way to Sedona. So Sedona is green, it's beautiful, it's a high elevation. And these pictures do not do it justice. On the way to Sedona, we're actually just before we get to Sedona, there's the Chapel of the Holy Cross. It's a church built right into the rocks there. And we go up and you can go in and it's really beautiful. And someone just asked me before about, let's see if that's a better picture, if that was a cross up front or if it's structural, and it's both. So it's really neat. This is Uptown Sedona. It's just some of the things we're going to see as we get you to check into your hotel. The first night we always have a welcome dinner, so you're going to meet everybody on your tour. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. So this is just some of the things in Sedona. This is, I always have to write this phonetically, Tlaquepaque. When people say, they say it so fast, Tlaquepaque. Tlaquepaque is beautiful. It's very expensive. Shops in here, art. There's gorgeous little cafes. It's a beautiful, artsy little spot to walk around in. It's very old. It's a highlight. So this is just some of the things that are going to be right around your hotel. Tlaquepaque, how you say it. This is the chapel that's there. So these are just some of the pictures. Okay, so Tlaquepaque, is just part of what you're going to see when we get to Sedona. So this is day 2. So this is the first real day on your trip. Day 1 is we fly into Phoenix, you're going to meet your tour director, we're going to go to Sedona, you're going to have that nice 2-hour drive, see Airport Mesa, all that. Day 2 is when our itinerary really kicks in. No. Day 2 is the Tlaquepaque Chapel, and the trolley tour. That's the Sedona day. Day 3 is the Grand Canyon tour. and that is our way to Oak Creek Canyon. So we're going to drive through Oak Creek Canyon to get to our first train ride in Williams, Arizona. And Oak Creek Canyon is beautiful. It's just the whole area. How many people have been to the Sedona area before? Raise your hand. Okay, so a couple. So this is the Williams Depot. This is the original train that brought people to the Grand Canyon. It was built in 1901 and fell out of favor in the late 40s and 50s when people started driving their cars. So it was decommissioned in 1968. And then they brought it back to life in 89 or 90 for the tourist trade, and it's just been spectacular. Good way to get to the canyon because you can't see this scenery in a car. So this is also about a 2-hour ride. It's a 2-hour train ride to get to the Grand Canyon on the train. We go to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, and this also just doesn't do it justice. It's so beautiful if you've been there before. You really can't see it enough times. What I was amazed when I went to the Grand Canyon is that at some parts there's railings and things, but you know in America there's safety signs everywhere, but some spots on the south rim there's nothing. There's no fences, so be careful because I mean you look down, it's a mile straight sometimes. It's unbelievable. My husband was so nervous. People were pushing baby carriages. I called him the Grand Canyon police. He was just like, you should be up on the road, you're too close. So this is just some of the scene. On our way back tonight, we have a dinner at Black Bart's Steakhouse and Saloon. It's a lot of fun. This is in Flagstaff. It's a ton of fun. There's they have a show, and we had a great time there. So that is the end of your day. So that's going to be the end of your day to the Grand Canyon. It'll end at the Black Bart Steakhouse and Saloon for dinner, and then you'll go back to your hotel. Day 4, we're going to go to Montezuma Castle. If you're familiar with Montezuma Castles, that's Montezuma Castle. Built in the 12th and 13th centuries by the Sinagua Indians. Oh. Is everybody having trouble hearing me? Does this make it better? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So this is Montezuma Castle National Park, and that is really Montezuma Castle, built in the 12th and 13th centuries by the Sinagua Indians. And for all our tours, like I said, your tour director will be with you the whole time, but for these other sightseeing opportunities, we have local guides there that know everything about the area. So you'll get that too, and that's fun. But that's amazing. And they talk about how they built it and why they built it up there, so I won't tell you, so you can go on the trip and find out. We stop in Jerome, Arizona, which was an old mining town, ghost town for a long time until the tourist trade and help from the railroad being so successful to the Grand Canyon. They brought this back, and now Jerome is a funky little town. It's very artsy and fun, and we stay there for a little while, and we get some of the history of Jerome. There's a lot of ghost tours because it was a ghost town. Let's see. And there's lots of shopping, and it's a neat old town. It's part of the history there. And then we're out to the Verde Canyon. So that's why it says Great Trains and Grand Canyons, because we do 2 train trips. So this is the Verde Canyon Railroad at the bottom of the Verde Canyon. This goes through 2 national parks, and this train ride is about 4 hours because it goes really slow, and you'll see why. Wow. It's gorgeous. We have snacks on this, like hot hors d'oeuvres and everything for everybody because it's a longer trip. But we have outdoor, you'll see them, outdoor cars, so you can walk out and see all the scenery. It's also known as the Wilderness Train. We ride in the first class car. See, there's some of the view. That's why we go so slow. We do go through a 680-foot tunnel on this train. And here's some pictures of the Verde Valley. You will see bald eagles. It's a lot of wildlife. And it's a different view of the canyon. So you get to go to the top of the canyon, and this is not the Grand Canyon, but you're at the bottom of the Verde Valley and Verde Canyon. So this train used to bring supplies. And there's the tunnel, see, 680-foot tunnel.
Going into a tunnel.
Yeah, it's coming out. That's a tight tunnel. Smells fun though. And so here's some of the scenery. It's really quite beautiful. So then the next day we have a day off because that's a big day. We have a day of leisure and we're in Sedona. This trip was originally 1 day shorter, but people complained they didn't really get to enjoy the hotel. So beautiful because you're always on the go. So we added an extra day of leisure. There's fabulous golf. I mean, you're in these gorgeous resorts. There's a ton to do. We are not a big optional company. We don't have a ton of options where if you go somewhere you can do several extra options that are not included. We try to include everything, but there are always something to do. And your tour director is great for anything that you maybe saw or a restaurant that you want to go to. She'll tell you how to get there. She'll give you some options. She's kind of your own little concierge. This is just some ideas. I don't know if any golfers are here. My husband loves it because the air is so dry, so your ball just goes forever. And there's lots of shopping. I don't know if anybody ever heard of the called the vortexes in Arizona, where they say you can feel all the magnets, and you'll see signs everywhere. I've gone. I didn't feel anything. It's like a magnetic pole or something, a little hippy dippy. And then we're gonna have dinner at the Blazin' M Ranch, which is another dinner Western show. It's a ton of fun. They get involved. It's a lot of back and forth with the customers, so they're a ton of fun. And that's gonna be your farewell dinner. The next day, this is your last day, day 6. We will visit Old Town Scottsdale on our way to the airport. And this is just another old town. It's kind of neat. You don't really want to miss it. And then you return home with your wonderful memories.
Only 37.
So I made this a little shorter because we do have the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta to go over as well. And after both of these, I'm going to be here for questions and more details if you want. So I'm not going anywhere. Less than a minute. Okay, so that was for May. That's for spring. This is for fall. So Great Trains, Grand Canyons we had for May. And for fall, we have the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, and that's October 13th. And this is going to be 3 nights in Santa Fe. All right, so we're going to fly into Albuquerque, which was founded in 1706. I didn't realize that. So we are 5 nights. First, we're staying 5 nights, another 6-day tour, 5 nights, just like Great Trains, Grand Canyons. 3 nights at the Inn of the Governors or the Hilton Santa Fe, both beautiful. 2 nights at the Albuquerque Marriott. There's a little picture of the Albuquerque Marriott, which is lovely. They're all nice. And this is the accommodations in Santa Fe. They're both beautiful. So the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. How many people have ridden in a hot air balloon? Yeah, did you love it? Mm-hmm. It's slow, but it's fun, right? This is one of the most photographed events in the world. So we do dawn patrol. Dawn in Albuquerque is around 6. You'll leave a little bit earlier. Also, I didn't mention this with your tour directors, kind of how our tours work. Whenever you get home, whenever you get back, like when you get back from Black Bark Steakhouse, your tour director will say, okay, tomorrow, this is on the agenda. You have your itinerary, but as you know, when you are on a tour, something's longer, shorter, so she'll always tell you what time we're going to meet and all of that. So you'll always have that. So dawn patrol, dawn is around 6, but you'll probably leave a bit earlier than that because you don't want to miss it. We do have, there's not really seating, but we do have seating for people who don't want to stand the whole time. We do have that available for you. Here's just some of the balloons. Yeah, they're beautiful. It's over 100 balloons.
There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. And then they all launch at the same time, so it's just a spectacle. I mean, it's. You know, I've heard people say, oh, I'm going to go all the way to New Mexico for a to see some hot air balloons. But it is an absolute spectacle. I have not been, but everybody I've talked to, it's like nothing they've ever seen before. It's really beautiful. So there they all go. And there are all these different kinds of balloons. They're really neat. You can walk around, walk through them. And they're so cool. They're always changing. Kind of like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. There's always a new one. So they're all hot air balloons, and you can see them there, all starting to get off the ground. So then we're having our Albuquerque City tour, because we want to do the dawn patrol right away. We do stop at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, which is really neat. There's a lot of history there. talks about the New Mexican 19 native pueblos that are featured in this museum, which was just updated. I heard it was beautiful. And so at the Cultural Center, there's people doing demonstrations and dances, and there's a lot of interactive history, so it's not just walking through the museum. And then we head down to Old Town Albuquerque. This is all the things we're going to do kind of in between. What you have is the launch of the balloons, and then we have all the sightseeing, and then you're going to watch the balloons at night. It's called the glow, the balloon glow. So this is kind of happening in between. Let's see, because then we get to dusk. Yeah, this is just some of Old Town Albuquerque, some of the shops. And it's so neat from being on the East Coast, it just looks so different. The desert, when I first went, it looked like another planet. So this is just some pictures of the balloon glow. So that's what we come back to. And that's what you want to say. Really neat. So this is, I mean, there's lots of great things that we do on this tour, but this is why you go on this tour. No. So, all right, so this is our next day. We're at the Bandelier National Monument. This is day 3. It's about a 2-hour drive to get there. This is 50 miles, this monument. It's about 50 miles. I had no idea about this before. It's from, I think, what is it, 1100, 1600 AD. It's very old dwellings.
What created these things?
These are old, they call them pueblos, and so they'll talk about this too. So these were built. And they'll give you all the history, but you have to go on the tour to find out exactly. But they're really neat. So like 33,000 acres, this national monument is. And then we do the Los Alamos Bradbury Science Museum, and the I don't know if anybody knows about the Science Museum, but there's the Manhattan Project. There's a lot on the Manhattan Project in this museum, and that's kind of the jewel of this museum.
That's where the first nuclear explosion took place.
That's right.
That's where the first nuclear explosion took place in Los Alamos.
Yep, and that's why they have all the Manhattan Project information there. So that's a big one. This is day 4 of our Santa Fe City tour. So we're making our way to Santa Fe. We see the Plaza, the Laredo Chapel. Let me see if I want to get into this Laredo Chapel. So Laredo Chapel, if anybody's been there, it's this staircase. That's all the rage. Everybody loves this staircase. It's called the Miraculous Staircase. It was built in 1887. And the Sisters of Laredo were charged with keeping it safe, and it was a holy staircase, so that's why you go see the Laredo Chapel. It's a beautiful staircase.
They had to be pretty good at it.
Yeah. It was all handmade, and they didn't use, they'll talk about it too, they didn't use any steel nails. Everything was wooden, so wooden dowels and everything. Everything was handmade with this staircase. That's why they call it the Miraculous Staircase. So when you go, you're mostly going to hear about this staircase.
And it is safe to go up and down on that.
I don't know if you're allowed to go up and down anymore.
No.
I don't think so.
That would make sense.
Yeah. It wouldn't stay up for long if you have all these tourists going up and down, and it's pretty narrow. Looks like you have to be a little agile to get up and down that. Then we're going to go to the Palace of the Governors, and this is from 1610. I was just shocked at just how old the whole area is. Like Albuquerque was founded in 1710. This is from the 1600s. And then we go to Taos, and that's day 5. Oh no, we're still shopping. I'm sorry. We're shopping at the Palace of the Governors. So there's the Palace of the Governors, and you can see them down the corridor there. There's lots of shopping and all that fun stuff, and everybody wants to go shopping when they're on vacation. That's why I always say, there's all these luggage weight requirements now. That just pack less, because you're going to buy so much stuff here and bring it back. I pack almost nothing so I can buy everything on the trip. So that's just some of the shopping. And then we have Santa Fe at your leisure. You're not doing a ton of running around, but it is, if you've been on a tour, there's a lot to see, there's a lot to do, so you have to have some downtime. And that was some Santa Fe. And then we go to, this is day 5. We're going to stop in Chimayo and visit El Santuario. The pilgrims loved this place because they thought the dirt outside the chapel had holy power, so pilgrims would make their way to this church for the dirt outside because they thought it had healing powers. So it's a sacred place. So get some dirt when you're there. This is just some pictures of it. And then here's some of the towns. We'll do a city tour. And this is the plaza. And the plaza dates back to the 18th century as well. And there's some pictures of the old plaza, are beautiful. We'll get to the mission church. There's another pueblo. The pueblos are so neat, especially for us on the East Coast. They just look so different. And they're so cool inside. Oh, I had a picture of a church. I'm sorry, the church isn't in here. I guess I don't have it. But there's a mission church that we see that was built in, it was replaced in 1850. It was the San Geronimo mission, and it was destroyed by the Americans during the war with the Taos and the Mexicans, and they rebuilt it. So you get to see that. That's a little bit history. Well, I mean, it's all history. And then, you're returning home with fabulous memories, especially of the balloon fiesta. Like I said, all these things are really neat that we get to see, but it is the balloon fiesta that is the sight to see. And so here's our price, and it's also on your sheet here. The Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta is $27.49 per person. The same deal, $100 off if you make your final payment by check, and it's $275 if you're going single. This is also $350 for the deposit. Just all our domestic tours are the same to hold your space. These are some of the things that it'll include, just like when we talk about Great Trains Grand Canyons. There's always a round trip airfare. It's the transport to the airport from here. It's all of the meals. And like I said, the breakfasts are always this big buffet breakfast at the hotel. They're not continental breakfasts. They're big, omelet stations and all that jazz. The motor coach, the sightseeing, the Pueblo Center, all of that. The balloon fiesta, the high roads to Taos, the 3 nights in Santa Fe. And so we're going in October. So the temperature is really nice, 72, 68. Everybody's always surprised that it's a little cooler, but it's beautiful temperature. Spring and fall is when most everybody travels because the temperature is so nice. $350 for the deposit, just like the last time. And thank you for these two. Just to talk about these two trips, the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta is a fabulous trip. Our Great Trains and Grand Canyons trip, we brought over 30,000 passengers on that trip. It's our top 5, and Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta is also very popular, but the Great Trains Grand Canyons one has just been #1 for about 15 years. So that's just a little bit of our tour. So thank you so much, and now we can have some questions. Yes.
Is it a direct flight?
For 6 days, airfare, transport included, your meal, most of your dinners, all of your breakfasts, sightseeing, all your tips. The only tips we don't include go to the tour director and the driver because we don't know how your experience is going to be. So we always recommend something like $3 a day for the driver, and for the tour director, maybe $5 a day, depending on how well you think the tour director did. So that's what that is. So this tour all in is $27.90 per person. If you make your final payment by check, you get $100 off because we don't pay the credit card fees. If you're going as a single, it's an additional $650 because the hotels do that to you. And so here's some of the inclusions with this tour. Is the round trip airfare and the tour director, the 8 meals, all the admissions and sightseeing, the 2 train rides, the Black Bart Steakhouse, the Sedona Trolley Tour, the Lacapake, and Jerome and the Chuck Wagon and all that jazz. So if you, also, everybody always wants to know the temperatures. Let's see, there we go. We're going in May.
Quite comfortable.
Yeah, so, and it gets cool at night because you are up, I think it's something like 4,000 feet above sea level, so it's up there. So at night it does tend to get cool. You're in the desert, you'll hear coyotes. And so, yeah, in the daytimes, 81 will be the high, and then at night it'll drop to, not terribly cold, but it'll drop 10, 15 degrees. So how this works is we have registration forms, And the deposit on all our domestic trips is $350. And then the final payment is the $27.90, but if you pay with a check, then it's $100 off. That's how that works. And we'll talk about trip insurance and all of that after the next one. So next one is New Mexico and Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. How many people have been to New Mexico? It's about the same. So this will just take a minute to switch over. Are there direct flights? Okay. So we do our best to get direct flights. We don't start negotiating with air because we buy group air until people put their names in. So once people register, then we can start working on direct flights. We try to get direct flights because everybody remembers their first day and last day on a trip, and we don't want those to be bad. We want them to be fabulous. At direct flights are what makes everybody happy. So we do try, but we cannot guarantee it until everybody registers, and then we do our best.
Is there a cost involved for the transportation to and from the airport?
No, so that's also included. Thank you. We do include transportation to and from the airport. we would talk about it. I think maybe we would meet here. Everybody would come here. We'd all get on the coach together and get to the airport. And then when you get back from the airport, you get back on the bus and they'll take you right here.
Can we leave our car
That makes
here?
sense.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What's that?
Can we leave our car here?
Can they leave their cars here?
We would be using Fred Penny Heritage, so yes, you can leave your car there.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Are the deposits in addition to the trip prices or a part of the trip prices?
It's a part of the trip price.
And secondly, the Grand Canyon trip, 180 days before the trip for cancellation is like December 7th,
That's right.
which is a couple of weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
Any leeway on that or not?
No, that's how it is. Well, we do have, there's trip insurance, and we can talk to you about that. Individual Travel House is a fabulous trip insurance product, and that's what we recommend. So trip insurance is always valuable, but we can talk about that after. But that's how it goes. Yes, sir.
Did you mention the names of the hotels at Albuquerque and Santa Fe?
Yeah, we do the Albuquerque Marriott, and it's on the back. Let's see. On the very back, so everybody can see it. At the bottom, it says accommodations right here, and we are going to stay 2 nights at the Albuquerque Marriott. And when we're in Santa Fe, we're either going to stay at the Inn of the Governors or the Hilton Santa Fe. You can look at the both; they're both beautiful properties.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there only one particular airline that you use?
We don't use one particular airline. We do use a lot of United, but we don't only use United. We use the best fare we can get for a group. So we're not partnered with anybody.
So it could be an economy flight?
Well, I mean, we don't use commuter flights or economy flight like Spirit or JetBlue. We don't generally work with them because the gateways are just not as varied. Generally, we use United most of the time, but they're not our partners. But that's mainly who we'll use. We don't use JetBlue. The only time we use JetBlue is go to Cuba because that's a chartered flight. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, if you sign up as a couple and for some reason or other the other person can't make it, do you still have to pay the couple price or could you go as a single?
Okay, so the question was, if you sign up as a couple and one of the couple or a roommate, say, even can't go all of a sudden, when you sign, it depends on when they cancel. But if it's never really happened, so I'd have to look at that a little more specifically for you. If it happens right away, then you're paying the single supplement. But if it's happening where it's closer to the trip and they have trip insurance and they get their money back for the trip, I don't think so, but I want to look into that more because that's never happened to me. So I just want to give you a right answer. I'm not 100% sure on that. Is that a drill? Yes, ma'am.
The insurance is if you have to cancel
Yes.
Okay, what do you need the 350, and do we mail it to the travel agency in Saunderson?
Lisa, you want to take that? Okay, so for the deposit, you know, the $350 deposit is due whenever you can get it. So of course we'd rather have you have it today because, like I said, for Great Trains Grand Canyons is our most popular trip. It gets booked up very fast. The question was, would it be easier to be mailed to Travel House, or just could we take it now?
You can take it now, or you can stop by the office, or you can mail us a check, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, but it would go through Travel House, not so much through Premier World Discovery. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry. Okay, great question. How many people will be on the trip altogether? Our trips, these two trips, we have 40 people maximum. That's how many people go on one trip with us. Yes.
We already signed up already, but the question is, I assume driver's license is still okay for travel?
Yeah, it's great. Another great question, because I just had this. I just had a group go to Branson, if anybody's been there, and they were very close to my house. I got them all to the airport, and a couple women only brought their driver's license. And we only brought a driver's license. And I said, well, that's all you need. You only need your driver's license. We're flying domestic. You don't need your passport. You just need your driver's license. We're still okay with that.
I heard on the passports you have to take your glasses off now. Is that true?
Yeah, you have to take your glasses off and you can't smile. That's no joy. But it's terrible for me. I can't see anything without my glasses. How about raise your hands if anybody's thinking about going to the Great Trains Grand Canyons? Okay, couple. Is anybody thinking of going to the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta? All right. Well, like I said, I'll still be here. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody coming and your attention. It was a lot of fun for me to get here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.